Good morning, children. Today we are going to see biology chapter 2 microorganisms. So already we were discussing about the disease causing microorganisms, that is the harmful effects of microorganisms. The disease causing microorganisms are called as pathogens. So these pathogens will cause disease in humans, animals and plants. In the last class we discussed what are the diseases in humans caused by the microorganism. Now let us move to the diseases caused by the microorganism in animals. The first thing is anthrax. The name of the disease is anthrax, caused by the bacteria Bacillus anthracis. So Bacillus, it is relating to the name of a bacteria. From the name itself, Bacillus is a group from bacteria. So we have seen the types of bacteria based on the shapes in the introduction class itself. So Bacillus is relating to a bacteria. So Bacillus anthracis is a bacterial disease caused in the humans and cattle. So in last year in chemistry fiber to fabric chapter, you could have learned that during the manufacturing process of wool, the humans working in the industry will face a disease called Sorter's disease caused by the anthrax. Okay, so the Sorter's disease is what noticed in the cattle, which affects the humans also. Then this Bacillus anthracis was found by Robert Koch. He was the first person who identified that Bacillus anthracis is responsible for the anthrax diseases in human and cattle. Okay, this is an important one mark that Robert Koch found about the anthrax disease caused by Bacillus anthracis. Next, this disease causing microorganisms, the pathogens, also cause foot or mouth diseases in the animals, that is caused by a virus. Some animals may have some injuries with all those wounds visible with blood bleeding on the foot of the animals, and they would have the saliva always coming out from the mouth. That is because of the infection caused by the virus in the animals. Okay, so this is what the diseases in animals caused by the pathogens. Next we can see about the pathogens in plants, that is the diseases caused by the microorganisms in plants. Plants like wheat, rice, potato, sugarcane, orange and apple are affected by the pathogens. So if a plant is attacked by the microorganism, that will greatly affect the crop yield, because the farmer cannot sell the crops affected by the diseases. Okay, so if a diseased crop is sold in the market and if we buy such vegetables and eat, then we would also be affected by the infections. So they cannot sell such plants. This will result in the great reduction in the crop yield. So it is going to be a great problem for the farmer's life who depend on the crops. Okay children, now take your textbook chapter 2 table 2.2. Okay, so there they have given you a table listing out the diseases in plants caused by what type of microorganism, whether it is a bacteria or fungi or virus, and the mode of transmission, how does it spread to the nearby plants. Okay, the first disease is citrus canker. Okay, the name of the disease is citrus canker. It is caused by a bacteria and it can spread through air. It can spread from one plant of the same species to the nearby plant through air. Okay, as the name of the disease tells, citrus canker. Citrus means we know that the lemon will have citric acid. So it occurs. This disease is specifically seen in the citrus fruits like lemon and orange. The second disease is rust of wheat. Okay, as the name tells, it is a disease caused in the wheat plant. It is caused by fungi and it can spread either through air or seeds. And the last disease is yellow vein mosaic of Bihindi. Yellow vein mosaic, it is a virus. When you go to higher class, you would learn about the mosaic viruses and all. These are the types of viruses. Okay, so this type of virus, that is the yellow vein mosaic virus. Sorry, it is a name. Okay, yellow vein mosaic of Bindi is the name of the disease caused by a virus. I'm telling you that the specifically which type of virus responsible for the disease is mosaic virus, as your name of the disease tells. Okay, it is caused by the insects. It can spread through the insects. When we know that the insects help in the pollination. So when a insect flies from one plant to the other, it carries such virus along with it and it leads to the spreading of disease. So by now you would have got an idea how the pathogens, that is the microorganisms, are destructing the plants also, right? Next we are going to see about the food preservatives. Okay, so have you come across the word food poison? How can a food get poisoned? The food which we eat is only responsible for the energy, growth and the repair of the body. But how can this food be considered as a poison? When does a food becomes a poison to us? Now, think about a bread left in the open air for a week. On day 1, it will remain the same like how you left. At the end of day 7, you could see that the bread has a bad smell in it. Its color is changed, and when you taste it, we usually don't do it, but its taste is also a different one, which leads to some illness to the body. Such kind of foods are affected by the microorganisms, and that is why we call them as rotten foods or the decayed foods. When we eat the spoiled food, the human body cannot accept it. It cannot digest it, and it leads to the severe illness in the human body. That is what we call them as food poisoning. Whenever you eat any spoiled food, it will lead to food poisoning. The food poisoning may result in vomiting and some illness, and it may even lead to seriousness. That is, in the case of death also is possible because of food poisoning. Okay, so we should be very careful that we should not eat the spoiled food. Okay, so who comes and spoils the food? It is your microorganism. So we cannot always safeguard the food. So there should be some methods which can be easily done to prevent the food spoilage. We cannot put a protective cover for the food and always fight with the microorganisms. But there are small easy steps which are all carried out by our mother from the early ages of human beings, done while cooking itself, that the food spoilage is prevented. That is what we call by the name as food preservatives. Preservative means they are going to safeguard us the food, and it will not lead to the food spoilage. So how am I telling that in the cooking itself we can prevent food spoilage? So you could have seen the fruits like mango, if it is left for a month, it starts to decay. It starts to produce some bad smell, indicating that it is rotten, right? But the same mango, a grandmother or your mother uses it to prepare the pickles which can be used even for months, right? The same fruit only, but there are possibilities for its spoilage, as well as we have preserved it and using it for many days. How is it possible? That is because of the addition of some preservatives while preparing the such dish. Such pickles. Okay. So what are those methods carried out? Is the first one is chemical method. Chemical method means adding of some chemical preservatives to the food item. The preservatives is of two types, children. One is natural preservative and the other one is chemical preservatives. Natural preservatives will include your oil, vinegar and some kind of acids. Acids obtained from the food sources. Okay, like we know that all the food, many food items have some acids in it. You have learnt in your lower grades. So that is why the preservatives have both natural sources as well as chemical sources. Now let us get to know about the chemical preservatives used in the food items include sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfite. These two will be added in the food while preparing itself, and it will inhibit the growth of microorganisms in the food item and thereby preventing the food spoilage. We buy jam, jellies from the shop, right? Kisan jam, jellies, some sauce and all these things will definitely have the chemical preservatives in it. Tomato sauce, everything will have the chemical preservatives like sodium benzoate or sodium metabisulfite. They are the preservatives added to the food to prevent spoilage. Understood? Next one is common salt. This is a very easy one used as a preservative for the food. It is available in all of our houses in the kitchen. The common salt can be used as a preservative. It can be applied in the meat, fish and all to keep it away from the microorganism, or we can inhibit the microorganism, the attack of microorganisms in the food items. Next is sugar. Sugar is also used as a preservative in jam, jellies, so that the sugar will reduce the moisture content. As you know that the bread, when you keep it there after or when you pour some okay, let us take the example of bread itself. When you have bitten a small bite from the bread and leave it as such in the air like that itself on the table, means because of the reaction with the atmosphere only the bread gets spoiled, right? Because in the atmosphere air you will have some moisture that will lead to the growth of the fungi and the bread will be spoiled, isn't it? So we should see that to prevent the food spoilage there should not be moisture content in it, and that is why sugar is added in jams and jellies, so that the sugar will absorb all the moisture content in it and thereby it will act as a shelter so that it is not attacked by the microorganisms. Okay, the next is oil and vinegar. This is what I meant as your natural preservative. Common salt, sugar, oil, vinegar, they are all the natural sources of preservatives. Okay, you could have seen that whenever your any relatives or your house members are going for a long trip and they wanted to take food along with them, your mother cooks with more oil in the food, because the oil will reduce the growth, or it can prevent the growth of microorganism. Similarly, vinegar is an ingredient for the preparation of pickle. We add vinegar to the pickle so that it is not spoiled. Okay. The next method is heat and cold treatments. And so how do we keep Where do your mother stores the vegetables brought from the market? We never buy my vegetables every day. Only few of our families follow that. Usually it is very good to buy vegetables daily and eat. We should not store the vegetables in refrigerators, because the refrigerators will absorb all the nutrients from the veg, and after cooking there is no use in it. It is just like eating a raw vegetable with no nutrient in it. So we should avoid keeping vegetables in the refrigerator. It is best to buy vegetables daily and eat, or keep the vegetables in the air, in the outside air, not in the fridge. So accordingly you can buy the amount of vegetables. Maybe for 2-3 days you can buy together and use it. Only then the essential nutrients will be reaching our body. If you store the vegetables in the fridge and eat, there is no use in it. All the nutrients will be lost. So when you keep the vegetables in the fridge, no, it is a safe place for to prevent the spoilage. The microorganisms will not be attacked. So now you may ask a question, ma'am, you are asking us to keep the vegetables in the fridge for preventing food spoilage. At the same time you are telling you can at least keep it in the air so that the nutrients will not be lost. So that is why I am telling you it is always best to buy the vegetables daily, or take it from your own farm and then use it. Do not store them or do not keep them in the outside air. Okay. So by keeping in the refrigerators, we can prevent the food spoilage. This we know that is a use of fridge. And what is this heating treatment? Are we going to heat the food? Yes. So to understand the heat treatment, you have to know about the packet milks. All the milk packets available in the market which we buy are called as pasteurized milk. What is the meaning of pasteurized milk, ma'am? All the milk comes in the packet or pasteurized. Its meaning is we can drink it directly. There is no microorganisms present in it. There is no harm in drinking such milk. That is what we call them as pasteurized milk. They undergo a process called pasteurization in the industry. It's from the milk factory until it reaches our home. It takes nearly 2 to 3 days. Yes, all the milk packets. But until then the milk is not spoiled because of the process of pasteurization. What is the meaning of pasteurization? Means they would treat the milk in about 70 degrees Celsius at a very high temperature. Okay, all the milk which comes in the packet will be initially treated at about 70 degrees Celsius and around for 15 to 30 seconds. Okay, and it is immediately chilled, immediately brought to a very low temperature, that is cooled down, so that a very high temperature it is applied to a very high temperature and there occurs a sudden cooling. That is called as pasteurization. By doing so, all the microorganisms present in it would be killed and it is free from microorganisms. That is called as pasteurization. This concept was first found by Louis Pasteur. The person who found pasteurization is Louis Pasteur. Okay. The next method is storage and packing. We could see that many food items like chips, all these small snack items are all covered in packages and we buy them, right? So by covering and as well as storing them, we can reduce the attack of microorganisms to prevent the food spoilage. Okay children, so with this I would like to stop. If you have any doubt in this, kindly call to me and get cleared. Thank you children.